Hello and welcome to A Certain Style of Podcast, episode 11. I'm here with Tim Watts and Andy Coram once again. We're here every 2 weeks to talk shit. So why not begin with the weekend's shit? What did you guys get up to this weekend?
You first.
I went to Cornbury Beer Festival and sat in the sun and drank lots of beer, which was very nice.
Did you get sunburnt?
No, I was very good and had my Factor 40 on.
As high as you could
and,
find.
and a hat. So, but yes, it was good. I had lots of food and beer, and then went to a friend's birthday in the park and played frisbee and drank more beer.
Sounds like a regular weekend for you.
I did work a bit on Sunday, so that kind of made up for it a bit.
Cool. All right, Tim, what's up with you?
I went to a friend's housewarming party. That was good fun, and I did some programming and stuff like that.
What was the programming?
Well, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
No, we're not going to do as much of that at the end this week. So if you just go for it now, what did you get up to programming-wise?
Unity. I've been exploring Unity.
Cool. Interesting.
The universal programming program for games.
Yes.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, something like that. One of the options.
One of the options.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's the one that most people go for, right?
Yes.
There's Unreal as well, I think, is another one.
And then there's another couple. But
Which is now
I think
free.
they probably have the majority, especially of small indies.
You pay for Unity.
No, not until
No.
not unless you want to, or until you earn $100,000 or more.
You're not talking into microphone when you look at me, Tim.
Yeah, I realised that. I think Andy was doing the same.
You could shift around. Okay. But now what happens if you want to talk to Tim?
That's all right. 45 degrees.
We'll get
gotta be on-
we'll
this
get
is-
there eventually.
This is work. This is genuine work. We have to figure out how
Okay.
to do all this.
Well, it's a good time to figure it
Better.
out while no one's listening, and then we can
Indeed.
get it all
Indeed.
What, for when
right.
people do
Until-
this?
Yeah, when,
Yeah.
when we've got
Oh, I
like
love your optimism.
thousands of subscribers.
Well, I reckon I want to get, let's say by the end of the year, 200.
Really?
Yeah.
I
I probably know. I can probably get 200 people just to listen to it once to get those up to 200. So
But
I can always
subscribers?
come to that.
I don't think you can. Oh, yeah, you can subscribe. I've subscribed.
You can subscribe. You can subscribe on
I have subscribed.
on the big iTunes.
What's your plan? Are you going to put the audio up where the current ones are for these?
Yes. Yeah,
And
so these will go
then
up where
on
the current
SoundCloud.
audio.
SoundCloud.
Shh.
Sorry.
The podcast will go up on SoundCloud, which will appear on the website. They will appear as they have been. The video podcast version of this will go up on the same page as well. I just have to figure out where it fits nicely on the actual page itself. But they'll go up together. But you can get the video one through iTunes, so it's only through the website and YouTube.
Cool.
Indeed. I got sunburnt.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How many minutes were in the sun for?
Yeah. Well, that was a bit of Thursday. I was out all day in the sun on Thursday.
Shoot.
I went to Goodwood. I went to the Festival of Speed
Did
on
you?
corporate hospitality, which was cool.
Very
which meant I got
nice.
to do some driving.
Really?
Yeah, I got to do the hill climb.
Cool.
Yeah,
Enjoy driving
it
what?
is to people who enjoy motorsport. I don't.
Is that
much
really
know.
steep?
No,
Oh.
it's in no way hilly. Really, it's just part of Goodwood. I should know more about it, having been there and driven it, but that's it. That's all I know.
But you must have enjoyed it. It must have been fun anyway.
It was cool. The hill climb's kind of slow. Not slow. It's really quick. There's not much to it. So by the time you've figured out the car you're in, you're done.
I
And
see.
it was the first time I'd used like paddle shift gears.
Oh, God.
What car were you driving?
BMW
Of course.
M235i, which is cool. That's the car I want to get,
Ah.
which I will never get, but I want to get it. But anyway, yeah, paddle gears. That's not a good time to suddenly learn how to do it because you're basically with an instructor saying, "Go do that," and you're like, "I don't know what gear I'm in. I don't know what gear I'm in." And there are spectators as well, so you look like an asshole who doesn't know what he's doing. But then we got to drive around the track as well. They had a day, so I got to drive the i8, which was
Cool.
really dull compared to the M3 and M4, which I also drove.
Really?
Yeah. I shouldn't have been surprised. It is basically a road car. It's not a supercar for going around a track, so it just wasn't what I expected, and it was.
You don't get the noise.
You get the noise. It's not real. It just doesn't feel.
They're just
like,
coming through a microphone, like a
Yeah.
speaker.
Yeah. Once you get past once you start putting your foot down and it starts getting to like high revs and stuff like a regular car would, it's all just piped in audio.
Ah.
Sounds good though. It did win Car Audio of the Year, I think, despite the fact it's not real. don't know the legality behind that. That doesn't sound all good to me, but apparently that happened. So,
Huh? Cool.
yeah.
I suppose if you're doing it digitally, you can make it sound as
you can make it
whatever
sound,
you
yeah,
like.
yeah.
So you can make it sound perfect.
It's up to the competition to make it sound even better without missing out compared to what BMW did. It doesn't make sense to me, but that happened. And then I did a shoot on Saturday for Dan Blacker, which will be on the website at some point. Did another sketch with him based around SatNav and the problems that it causes in relationships when two people are in a car.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that. And I got sunburnt then. I didn't put any cream on. And now I'm going to have a wicked tan from that bit down in a few days.
Did you know there's a Brian Blessed SatNav voice?
Yes, there's pretty much anyone you want, isn't there? You can get
Yeah.
like Captain Picard.
You can program your own as
Yeah,
well.
that's a bit tedious.
Yeah, you could gift it to someone.
Yes.
Here you go, Mum. You can listen to me in the car. You can listen to us in the
I was
car right
gonna
now.
say,
Yeah.
that's,
Don't need
what we're
to be
doing right
shouting
now.
instructions. You could just be listening to this right now whilst driving.
Turn left.
Sorry.
Turn left.
Turn left. Send people the wrong way. Yeah, that's not gonna work like that. Okay. So I think this week we're going to talk about visual entertainment, and I mean that in a different way to the things we usually watch on TV and in cinemas. It's a different way of experiencing the visual medium, be it a game, be it a film, be it music, a live concert, all those kinds of things. More specifically, me and Andy are going to talk about the Star Wars Secret Cinema we went to.
Woohoo.
There will be spoilers, as Andy told me I should tell people, to the maybe 5 people who are listening who I know aren't going to go. So yeah, the spoilers are there. Listen to it if you want, or don't. Before we get into that, Tim and Andy went to the Back to the Future one that was last year. Do you want to just chat about what that was, so people get an idea to what the Secret Cinema is and does?
Sure.
You did go.
Yeah. But I guess Andy's in the best position to explain like how the two compare.
Well,
No,
you
just-
explain the Back to the
Yeah.
Future one, because I'll talk about
So the Back to the Future one
Start.
was hosted again over, say, what was it, 2.5 months? Or it was quite a long time. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
And every day they got, I don't know how many it was, like say 100 actors or something like that, into this massive area, and they created this big set, which was the set from Back to the Future. Had the whole Hill Valley town, so it had all the shops in the square, and then you basically interacted for a few hours, and you went round and you saw some of the shops, you met some of the actors who were playing some of the characters and some of the less known characters, and if you were lucky you saw some bits and pieces that just happened to be spontaneously going on. You missed other pieces, but there's always enough going on that sort of caught your eye. And then you all sit down and you all sit and watch the film. And for this Back to the Future, we all sat in the grass sort of square and watched it projected onto the town hall. And
Clock Tower.
Clock Tower.
Mm.
Sorry, excuse me.
Sorry.
Is Clock Tower on the town hall?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think so.
Save the clock tower.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then whilst you're watching the film, a lot of the scenes are being recreated live, almost to the sort of half a second in terms of, you know, actors posing how they are in the film. And that's all going on all around you at sort of simultaneously. Not all the time, but enough that it's really exciting.
Was their timing good?
Really good. I would say within half a second.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a bit like watching something slightly off from dubbing. It was like, but because you knew what was going on, like
That's
it was
annoying.
actors, it was
That's
really
annoying.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it was a little bit jarring.
I
But-
don't think I noticed the timing. I just
Oh,
thought it was
really?
cool that they were just playing it out.
Most of it you didn't, but there was the scene where he's dangling from the clock tower, and
That-
you can see him above the projection, so you
Yeah.
can see it very clearly.
Hmm.
But like when he drops, it's almost like to the moment, and like his expressions were so close,
Cool.
really close. Yeah,
Neat.
but I really want to hear.
Well, yeah.
Because Back to the Future lends itself so well with that town, with that square.
Yeah.
That's everything in the film almost.
Yeah. So Back to the Future, I think, was the right one to pick for their first sort of big hurrah into doing these big setups. They've generally done much smaller kind of viewings for people, like one night only, and you don't know what you're going to see until you show up, and then they put you in a small room or whatever, and it's themed, but you don't actually know what you're going to see. These are the first ones they've done where you knew way in advance what you were going to see, but you didn't actually know what you'd be doing there, and that's kind of the draw. It's like what is built around the film. I think Back to the Future got away with it slightly better because everything in Back to the Future is kind of based in that one town square, and as you're saying, you wanted about Star Wars because Star Wars is slightly different. There are thousands of locations.
Yeah, I mean,
the
I just
films.
want to watch it from like some kind of moon somewhere with like 3 planets in the distance.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, we went. I've never been to one before, but you have.
Maybe start with you actually. I'd like to know.
You want to know the
your
the
first
Virgin
Yeah,
impression.
yeah, yeah.
Because
point of view?
it must be. I mean, there's nothing like it, right? You can't. It's not
No,
like
not at all.
this person does it better. I mean, there's nothing out like that, that does this kind of experience at all. So,
No.
even though it was really expensive, it must have been worth it for an experience.
Yeah, so you guys know I don't like a lot of things when it comes to film, so it will surprise you when I say it was good. I really liked it. It's really, really impressive. You pay an awful lot for it, but what I liked is you could really see where that money went. They kind of went all out in their locations, and I think a lot of people have said there's like tons of actors, and there really are. There's an awful lot of people there paid to do stuff.
Isn't it something like 700 or so? It's ridiculous.
I don't know. I heard it's something like that. I mean, they obviously rotate, but because it's on like every day for 2 months. But no, and they're all really good. And yeah, I kind of didn't know what to expect, having not been to one, and the fact that they're kind of an odd experience. But yeah, you get right into it. They tell you to dress up. They tell you to bring some props and some objects because they will help you out when you get there, and they'll let you know what you're supposed to do with them, which is kind of cool. So you spend some time.
But did they? Because that's what I felt they weren't very strong on Back to the Future.
I felt they were. I think having been, yes, it's slightly overkill what they ask you to do, but everyone's experience is slightly different. I think because we all went as a group. So me, Andy, and Gemma went, and we all were dressed slightly differently, except me and Andy were the same. Gemma was different, so she had different props to what me and Andy had. Well, you didn't have any, Andy, did you? You didn't bring anything.
No, I borrowed some.
You borrowed some, yeah.
Well, because I agree with Tim at the Back to the Future one. There was they told you to bring various things and do various things, but it was very much.
It was like you had to bring like a clock, and you had to bring like a picture of your family, like from when you were a child.
Yeah.
Or
Did you use any of that stuff?
No, nobody even asked to look at it. Like,
so
nothing.
I was quite skeptical on that. But what they did well with the Star Wars one is they really kind of played up with those. So you had very specific costumes, and most of it was to do with the color of your scarf or something.
So some idea about factions, right?
Yeah.
It's a good way to make sure everyone's not dressed like a Jedi. I think in the same way that Back to the Future was like, don't let everyone dress up like Marty McFly. They give you a role to play, so not everyone dresses the same, and that's.
But then I think it also is a cue for the actors to know how to interact with you. So I think as we were obviously dressed as explorers, the characters that were engaged in that sort of area, they knew to approach us. So it was very much. And then you get sent on missions.
Yeah, you got cornered right away.
Like this. Yeah,
we were like
straight away.
They set up the premise that they're gonna smuggle you off of like out of London, basically, because it's in London, and they're not trying to hide the fact that you're in a London setting. They are literally, as part of the story, taking you from London to what turns out to be Tatooine. But as soon as you get there, you're like basically being smuggled through, and you get taken through this really long corridor, and it's kind of like if you've ever been to like Disneyland, and you're queuing without realizing you're queuing. So there's like audio stuff going on to make you feel like things are still happening, and then some guys will come and shout at you and tell you what to do, which you just do because you're partly British and partly because someone's shouting at you and telling you what to do, which you kind of just get on with it. I've lost my train of thought.
I was going to say this is. Shall I carry on while you
think where I was? Yeah. No. I get there. I was. No, I've gone. Go.
So yeah, it was a lot more linear than the Back to the Future one.
Sort of branch linear. There's lots of paths.
But you're kind of guided through it. Whereas
rather
I think
than
with the
floating around.
with the Back to the Future one, there was lots of scenes playing out, and it was up to you to sort of find these scenes and stuff.
Oh, that's where I was going.
Whereas-
That's where I was going. So yeah, you get put straight into it. You get funneled through. These guys shout at you, and then you go into this kind of the first area, which is like a docking bay
Mhm.
where you're getting put into ships, and someone jumped on you pretty much instantly and
Yeah.
gave you something to do.
Yeah, he told me to give some information to his sister, and he told me what his sister, she had a diamond tattoo on a crystal on her neck, and told me to pass some information on to her. So I sort of had to quickly try and remember this information, but this was in this kind of transitional part of the thing.
Mm.
And you come out and there's just like noise and people shouting at you, and there's all this kind of flashing lights, and it's quite disorientating. It was
It's like a space terminal.
Yeah,
like
space
a very,
terminal, and
very
you
busy
really-
airport where the world is ending and everyone's trying to get on the last plane home.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like that.
That's really cool.
and it was really, and you get ushered here and there and stuff, and I thought that whole kind of introduction
Yeah.
thing worked really well.
For the
and-
most part, they kind of they get you into where they want you to go without it feeling like it's like, right, group A now needs to go
Sure.
to area B, whatever. Because we walked in and then some guy jumped on Andy and gave him the mission, and then this other guy was like, "Have you just arrived? And it's like, right, come with me." And they pull you into this like freight container, and then they brief you on some stuff, and they tell you what you're probably going to need to do next when you get to your location, and that's really neat. It's just like you didn't feel like you were queuing for, because it's basically like Disneyland. You're queuing without realizing you're queuing, and they did that really, really quite well, to the point where you're like quite into this now. Because I was quite excited.
I was surprised that there was one bit where we all had to crouch down, and they gave us signals to say when you meet a rebel, a fellow rebel, and I can't remember what you have to say now.
Oh, it's lame.
Yeah,
It's
it was
pretty
quite lame,
It's
but
pretty lame.
I was really surprised that literally everyone shouted it back really enthusiastically, which I wasn't expecting, because I was expecting, the typical English kind of response, which would be sort of half-hearted because they're not sure who else would respond. But there was a proper strong
I'm
response.
happy to be here. I'm
yeah,
happy to be
everyone,
here,
and I'm getting involved,
Yeah.
kind of.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
that's why I started to like it like almost instantly, because I was a bit put off by their sort of amble, the stuff they sent you beforehand, and they were really trying to gear up that kind of, you're part of like Rebel X and you're now like undercover or whatever, so you've got to like cover your face and stuff like that, and they were really trying to push that on you before you knew what was going on. But as soon as you get there and everyone's getting involved, you're just like, I'm really glad these guys are kind of doing a like good job of trying to keep this facade going, even though it's kind of odd.
I think
And-
actually, a really good call is to just saturate the place with actors,
Yeah.
because as a future you experienced it, but I really like this kind of this linear path idea. I can see that working so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how did it work with you and Gemma? Like, did you go off separate ways?
No,
or-
well, we thought that might happen because we were sort of different factions, but no. They just let us stay together. I think when
they
we
just
were,
didn't give you missions that would mean that.
No. I think because the overall mission is it's basically drug dealing. Was my
spice.
thought
We
of it.
weren't
Yeah,
entirely
it's spice.
Yeah.
told,
in
but
inverted
it's very
commas. It's drug dealing basically. So you get there and you're told that you're going to need to find this person or whatever, and then when we arrived at Tatooine, it's kind of cool. You go through. Well, let's go back a step because this bit's really cool. When you get out of that terminal, you're basically put into a ship, and that's quite simulator-like.
Oh yeah, this was good.
So you get put in a load of seats like you would in a simulator. There's a big screen in front of you, and that's cool because that's the London skyline. And then just as it's all about to get going, like Star Destroyers start like encroaching on the London skyline, and then the ship you're in basically takes off. It doesn't move around like a simulator does, but there's enough bass.
The sound
to make
was
you-
incredible.
to make you feel like there's
really
motion. Yeah,
bassy, and really vibrating.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then you take off and you're off to Tatooine, but you get like boarded when you land, like by stormtroopers and stuff like that, and they pull people out.
I was
and then-
genuinely kind of a bit scared when they came
because
in.
no one in those kinds of environments wants to be singled out and
No.
like kind of made an example of. So everyone's kind of worried about that, and that's quite cool because it adds to, that's how you should be feeling. Although if it was like a real threat, you don't want to be like taken out or excluded. But I think those people, and this is why it's quite cool. You were saying, sometimes you saw stuff happening, and sometimes there was stuff happening, and you may have missed it. But there's always they put so much stuff like going on. Like I'm pretty sure those guys got put into prison because when we got into Tatooine, there's like people in prison already, and we got there quite quickly. And you're just like, what happened? What the hell happened? You're a regular person, and someone's just thrown you in prison. Like you paid a lot of money for the privilege of being put in prison. But it's cool.
But it depends. What were they different to our? Because there was 4 different characters, wasn't there? And
yeah,
I think each character came in because I think the pilots came in later on when, which we haven't got into yet. But later on, you end up on the Death Star. And I think that's where the pilots, because I saw pilots being taken off, where I think maybe Gemma didn't get.
Well, she didn't.
approached.
It was sometimes it's a bit unclear. Like through their like good work of not making you feel like you now you have to go here, and now you have to go here, now you have to go here. You sometimes get a bit lost, and you don't really know exactly what you're supposed to do. There was a big lull period that we hit after being like so impressed with it all, and then suddenly you're like, I genuinely don't know, and there was like maybe 20 minutes, half hour went by, and I don't know what to do now.
Right.
And I don't know what to do now. And they'd set up
probably just missed the.
I think there was probably a bit of interaction that we might, because we did get trained how to mind melt people, or not mind melt, but no, that's Star Trek.
Jedi mind trick.
Jedi mind trick.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Sorry, Star Wars. Focus. So part of one of our missions was as explorers when we managed to sell the spice, we got some training and how to use Jedi powers to manipulate minds and stuff. And I think
we were supposed to use that.
We may have led on to other things later on in the.
You're just supposed to walk up to an actor and just go.
Kind of, yeah.
Possibly.
That's the thing. I think once if you because I don't think I'm kind of at that stage, but if you get really into it and you are in the right place at the right time, they will maybe approach you and they will maybe like just give you some kind of prompt. So you're just like, okay, I can probably try this thing now and it might work. And because they're an actor, they'll go with it, whatever, or they'll just call you a fucking idiot.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like
all in character.
When I went, like, I almost felt bad for interacting with the actor. I felt like I was taking time away from what they should be doing.
Yeah,
like, there are thousands of people here. You don't have time to speak to me.
Yeah,
it's kind of how I felt.
Yeah, I
so
felt
I
similar, but this
involved
I think
like
the Star Wars one was much more. The more you put in, the more you get out of it. So we could have quite easily just walked around, ate some food, had a drink, and not done all the. Because I think that bit where we get put in prison and stuff. That's if you've done the tasks, because they were only letting people in who had spice through to this transporter ship, and then when you get onto this other transporter ship, that gets boarded, and that's when we ended up in the Death Star, which you would end up in anyway, but we had a sort of special kind of, okay, you're gonna get in prison now, and that was quite impressive, and that's when I first saw Darth Vader. And because we were sort of being sort of frog marched to the cells, and then they're just out of shot, almost.
Really,
you saw Darth Vader walking up along one of the corridors, and that sort of thing worked really well, I think. And
so let's not dwell too much on what happens there, because we could go into infinite amounts of detail, and I think that's a conversation for maybe off
I do
air.
feel I missed out a bit.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think they did a really good job of putting you in the Star Wars environment, which is what you want with this kind of thing, and the reason why it's so important that these things exist, because it really makes you want to watch the film that they're trying to get you to watch, really. This, because it was for Empire Strikes Back, not A New Hope, which is technically, I guess, the first one, episode 4, they run you through episode 4. So the reason you start in Tatooine is because that's where episode 4 starts. So that gives you the context of allowing Obi-Wan to be there and Luke Skywalker to be there and the droids to be there on Tatooine while you're walking around. So they're all there and you can interact with them. But I don't think we did, because Luke was running around and you saw that. But we didn't interact with them. Then you trade drugs and get onto another ship, which is bound for Alderaan, which obviously, as you know, is not around, but it's obviously still there because you're in the first half of episode 4. You then get boarded again and tractor beamed onto the Death Star. So then you're on the Death Star and you basically get put in prison. And at that point, you can like not everyone can see it as well. Like Princess Leia is there, so you start getting into that bit of the storyline. Then the lull happens, and you don't know what to do. And at that point, the illusion started to go for me because I didn't know what to do. We actually were able to go down some steps back to Tatooine, and I don't think you should be allowed to do that.
No, I think
you should be blocked off entirely because that's part of the story. But that's not the. It just did start to fall apart from there because at that point they then start speeding up the story elements to get you to Empire Strikes Back. So then you start getting like Luke, Han, Chewie, Leia like escaping from the Death Star. So they're running around in the gantries upstairs, like having fights with stormtroopers, and that all happens really fast. And you don't quite know what's going on because you don't have a good view. Like they're above you, you're below. There's a big crowd of people, and it's very hard to figure out what's going on. And then in the very top of the building you're in, you see like the engines of the Falcon like shoot out, so you assume they've escaped, and I'm kind of like, I think I missed something here because a minute ago they were running around and then suddenly there's these engines going, and it's like I kind of know what that is. And then in the same room you're in, they drop a big X-wing in and you get the trench run, and it's all done through like audio, and then the medal ceremony happens in that bit as well.
What do you mean audio?
Like the sound from the film, like Obi-Wan saying
again,
use the Force, stuff like that.
Do you get any visuals to go along?
There's a little bit. There's some screens, and that's kind of the motion of going down the trench run is kind of there. So it's in a screen in the front.
Okay, so you're like kind of put in a container and
no. So when you go up to the Death Star, you're basically in like a prison compound. It looks like a regular prison. So there's a bottom floor with some stairs going up to a gantry, and that's where everything happens. So you're down below. People are running around upstairs, escaping from the Death Star, and then you're still down below, and this big X-wing comes in above you,
right? And
then they project and like around in the front and the back the Death Star trench run, and you see the X-wing go very slowly above you, it's not super impressive because it's just a big wooden X-wing on a crane.
I thought it was good. Well done.
It is. It's just that totally took me out of it because I was very happy having my own little adventure like in the Star Wars universe that wasn't connected in any way directly with like the Luke Skywalker story, and then it just put you straight into that, and it couldn't ever live up to that because you know how it happens, and you're already on the Death Star going, this thing's about to be blown up. What we should be somewhere else watching this happen, and
I understand, but in terms of like, if you were gonna try and connect your experience with the next bit, which is watching the film, you can kind of accept it's okay, right?
Yeah. No. Like I mean, like don't get me wrong. I'm very, very happy with the way it went. Like, it got me so into wanting to watch a Star Wars film because you just basically lived Star Wars for like a couple hours, and that's really cool. And that's why I felt like a bit betrayed when the story stuff happened. I would have been quite happy to have like somehow. I thought because I knew the plot points, like we're gonna somehow get off the Death Star and go to maybe another location, like maybe on like the like Yavin, one of the moons of Yavin.
I guess it must be really dodgy territory, but I mean I kind of think I know what you're saying, and I would also much prefer it if you basically were living out the backstory and they never touched what you're about to see in the film. This is all like a warm up of like, oh, this is going on in the background beforehand. But maybe it's difficult for them to.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. Maybe it's just a desire to nod to things.
I'm sure there's that. They've got to do that bit, and they do have to make it because it was it had been quite a while at that point, like when that all started happening, and they did need to speed it up because people need to get home or whatever, and you need to watch the film. But yeah, that kind of ruined it for me. But I would have been quite happy to have just stopped at the Death Star and then been like somehow through some sort of story gone to watch a film.
So how was the actual watching film?
I hadn't seen Empire Strikes Back for a while, so I was really up for it, and like this is going to be good. But I think it differs very from Back to the Future because you're in a cinema environment. There's like 3 screens.
Yeah, they split the people into 3 because they couldn't show it all in one go. Sure. So you're in a much smaller room.
So you're in a very, what I would call cinema-like environment. It's dark. There are actually seats, so you get to sit down on actual seats. The screen is there, and you can see the other people in the next screen, like in front of you as well. So it's a bit weird, and the sound's not perfect because there's not one room big enough where they pick the location. So there's like a bit we were in, then there's another unit in front of that, and then I think there's another one over. I think there might have been another one.
No,
like
I think
on
it
the
was
other side.
3 in a row.
Was it 3 in a row?
Yeah.
So
but they played out the scenes
but
around.
That wasn't necessary.
That
wasn't necessary.
I thought some of them you almost missed because they
Mm.
were so subtle. They were like up in the
Mm.
rafters, and you might miss it. The lightsaber fights were a bit more prominent, like in the middle. And I thought that worked quite well because it was similar to the Star
Mhm.
Wars, and they choreographed.
That's
The timing was pretty
Okay.
spot on, and it was quite cool to see the
Yeah.
they had the right coloured lightsabers, and it was all
You
going on.
think after all the attention to detail they go to, and they fuck up by having like 2 red lights or
Well,
green
no.
lightsabers, which are nowhere near Empire Strikes Back.
No,
or
but like
Star
I
Wars.
mean, sort of spot on colours
be
rather than
hilarious.
just sort of like
I-
red or an off blue.
I don't think it was necessary because you were in a very cinema-like environment. I was kind of like, right, I'm in just to watch the film now. Like I've had all the fun and games from before. I just want to watch the film now. I think with Back to the Future, it's slightly different because, as I said, so much of that film takes place in that environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're outside, so there's lots more to make use of. But you were very confined, and as Andy said, you'd miss them. They just felt kind of tacked on because of what they'd done with Back to the Future. And I think this is it's a good sign because they are the guy who sets this stuff up is probably he's learning as he goes as to what works and what doesn't work because they've done it on a small scale. Now they've done 2 on a very big scale. And I think the next one will be better having learned from the previous 2 as to what works and what doesn't work, because I'm sure they get tons of feedback from this kind of thing, like people saying it's great but this bit was not so good.
Do you want to make your guess as to what the next one's going to be?
I think I just think the
Jurassic
next one's going to
Park.
be Jurassic Park because that will be the most annoying because I don't know, I don't think Jurassic Park could be done that
Would you
well.
go? Would you go?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I love Jurassic Park.
I mean, I think
I'd
I
have
would
to.
I would be quite happy to, for example, go to one every other year. Like, I just think there's nothing like it.
So this is why I want to talk about it today. Is we spent half an hour doing that because it's important and there's a lot of details to get out. It is one of the coolest things I think you can do if you like the particular film that they put on. I mean, that's the other thing. It's kind of down to potluck as to whether they do a film that you actually want to see in the first place. That's Tim chewing ice.
Apologies.
For those not watching,
I was thinking he got some sort of snack. I was like,
one of Tim's teeth is just like corroded.
Crumbled.
So no, it's very important that this stuff exists because it's getting tougher and tougher to get people into the cinema, and they're resorting to things like 3D, and the IMAXs are becoming slightly more prevalent because it's a new experience at the cinema. And I love the cinema, but I do want more stuff like this. I want to be able to watch something in a completely different way, or I want to be absorbed in it in a different way. Mostly things, I guess, that I've seen, like Empire Strikes Back or Back to the Future, because if you didn't know those worlds and you went to one of those things, I don't know if you'd appreciate it as much. I think you'd still appreciate it.
I was going to
but
say, you know what? I think it could work. I think it could work with a film that nobody's ever seen. I think you just
that
you
would be
have a
very cool.
plot
Yeah.
And you get your backstory, you get your channels,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, this is really weird, but I'm in this character. And then you watch a film.
Yeah, it's like
Be
the
awesome.
Star Wars pre-roll, but you would be acting out that you'd be in that world, so you wouldn't need that pre-roll. It would just fill you
Yeah.
in, and I think that's really good. And it's just another way to experience film, and I think it's really, really effective because it just connects you with it, like in a way that just passively watching a film doesn't do.
I think the original concept of the secret cinema was that you don't know what the film is,
Mhm.
and they do the world first, and
Sure.
you get immersed into it. So I think that was the original concept, and I think as you say, it kind of that would get you kind of hyped up, and also like curious if you don't really know what the world is that the film.
And I think you can think of a way to do it for almost any film. I mean,
Yeah, we've
I
had
would have
tons
thought
of conversations
I
about
thought-
what
yeah, but
what
I would
could
have
be
thought
done.
Star Wars is one of the blooming hardest that you could even think of.
Well, we weren't sure about the locations, were we? Because I think we maybe in the same way got slightly like blindsided by Back to the Future and gone, oh, it's going to have to be done in one location, when actually they proved that they basically just took over one big warehouse and just split it into lots of different bits, and that's very effective.
Yeah, it
So
was
I think
incredible.
they
Am I
are
right in
just
thinking
really
it was in Ali
disoriented.
Pali?
just learning what goes on. Sorry?
It
No,
wasn't.
it was a dock, St. Catherine's dock.
I don't know.
It was
Okay.
It was a
the-
part of London I've never really been to before
yeah.
and probably never
And
will
it
again.
was I think it was an old print works. There was
Yeah,
some
you
old
could see.
printers.
Yeah. They shove you in a prison cell with like a piece of machinery that looks like you could
Yeah,
get
it looks
crushed.
like you're
And
gonna
like
get
if they turn the
crushed any
machinery
night.
on, you're gonna get crushed,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what? And it's a good like they don't. There's still some kind of like, we just want to get this done in the best way possible, and you're put in this room, and there's like a big hole that you're kind of walking in, and you're just doing the British thing by like guys, you need to watch out because there's a big hole there, and if you don't notice, you will go down and you'll hit your head on some big metal thing because this is a probably working factory or next to working. It's like the machinery was still there, so it's good that there's still.
You could climb, go wandering around it.
Yeah. That's when it started to be a bit rubbish at that point, but it was good up until then.
Yeah.
But no, I wish that there was more stuff like this, like big scale or small scale, just more ways to enjoy films or any kind of like.
But that's the thing, right?
visual
This
thing.
is like something that you literally never mind afford, can be bothered to do on this scale, like say once or twice.
But that's
a
why
year.
it's great, because I hate going to the cinema. Like everyone hates going to the cinema, and there being those annoying people who are just there for a laugh or whatever. When you actually want to watch the film, when you go to something like this, because the pay is relatively like extreme, and the films are relatively like niche, you get people who want to be there, and you get people who want to interact. So you get a very nice environment of people, except the kids that were sat in front of us, but they left very soon. After the Hoth battle, but yeah, you get loads of people who are like-minded, and that's a very good way to watch a film. Like it just creates a very nice atmosphere, which you don't get in a cinema when you're full of
I'd agree.
public people you don't know.
I mean, what I meant was, I think that there is room for like a way scaled down version of this.
Oh yeah, totally. I think outdoor cinemas are that version of it to an extent. It's like it's just a nice environment to watch something where, as you say, people have to make the effort, so they obviously really want to watch that film, or they really want to watch, like, experience that way to watch a film, and that's very interesting to me, and just being excited again for films. And like I said the other week, seeing Whiplash, and it's like that's a film I've never seen. Seeing it in that environment, I think would have obviously been a slightly different mindset for me if I'd just seen it like in the home or in the cinema. I think it's just I will now remember that film because of the way I watched it, rather than just the film itself.
I think it makes
That's
it
very
more of an
important.
event, doesn't it? It's
Yeah,
like
totally.
going to the theatre or something where you've got. It's not just the actual sitting down watching the film, because we can all do that, at home, and everyone has big TVs and big sound systems and stuff. So you need something extra to make that extra effort to go to the cinema, and I think that kind of thing it makes it more of an event, because I guess the novelty of going to see it on a big screen with all the sound and stuff back in the day, that made it more of an experience.
Do you think something like a game at the start of a film is like a?
So Tim's read the episodes. So Tim's read the episode notes. I'm not going to go to that yet. I actually want to go to Back to the Future again because I just want to do more of this stuff. Going to see Back to the Future at the Albert Hall next weekend. And that's another example of just another way of watching a film that you know. So it's Back to the Future played at the Albert Hall with a live orchestra. So been to a few of these, I think Lord of the Rings and Star Trek, whereby they strip out the music track, subtitle the film, and then play live with the film. And it's fucking good. I really like film music, so I'm slightly going to be biased, but it's a really cool way to watch a film that you already know. Or, as you say, maybe likewise, if you hadn't seen the film, it's a hell of a way to... it's a hell of a way to see a new film, like with that whole orchestra there playing the score. It's crazy. It's ridiculous that all this stuff has to happen in London, though.
Yeah,
it's all in London, and we don't live that far away. But it's like,
I was going to say we can't complain about that.
No. But it's trying to, like, they obviously understand that that's a way to make. It's all about making money, but it's also getting people into that environment rather than pirating films or whatever. So they obviously see that it's something that's worthwhile doing. So I think that will get picked up more and more. There needs to be more IMAX cinemas. That would be good. But they will just figure out ways of doing it. And I hope more people do that. I don't know how. We should probably do it. We should just set something up and start.
Well, I've seen some films. The music festival, they did a live soundtrack to the what's the one with the lights?
Close Encounters.
Close Encounters. And they had a live band remixing the soundtrack. So they
take the whole soundtrack off that film?
So they took the whole soundtrack off, but they had live instruments. They had digital instruments where they could sample audio from the film, and they rescored it. So you couldn't always necessarily hear the audio in any sort of recognizable way, but it, as an experience, it was brilliant. But again, that it that was more about the music than the film.
But that's great. That's kind of what I want to see. It doesn't have to be as linear as the Secret Cinema or the stuff at the Albert Hall. It can be something completely different. Like, I think I've seen a couple of bands where they just put the film on in the background and they do their music to that film, and that's cool. Like, that's a very that's not a way to experience a film that you haven't seen before, unless you're kind of interested in that kind of thing. But to see a film that you know and have someone else's interpretation of what soundscape goes with that, I think is great. And I'd love to just go, instead of just seeing music by band, I'd love to see their thoughts on music what goes with their music, just so you're sat there watching something as well as them. Because I think, hang on, it's the same way that cinema's become a bit boring. It's like there aren't that many bands that can do the whole big stage show that kind of is big and spectacular whilst you're watching them. Most of them just have to just play on a stage, and when you're younger you can go at the front and jump around, and that's kind of fun. But when you're older and you kind of listening to the music maybe a bit more and not getting as involved, what's there for you to, because I went to some bands I wasn't particularly keen on at the weekend, and it's like, if there was something more visual keeping me here, then I'd be very happy, because it's not just about the music, it's about whatever visually they're showing. I might be getting the point wrong about live music, but that's where I certainly am at the moment, is wanting more stuff to be seen.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, there's a band called British Sea Power, and they scored an old film that was originally silent, called I think it was the Man of the Sea or something. And they wrote their own score, and that then got released as an album, and I saw that live, and that really worked well. But then also I've seen a lot of VJing as well. Have you heard
VJing? I can imagine it's something to do with mixing.
So it's mixing live video with audio and a bit of a combination. So I've seen Chris Cunningham doing live VJing.
Just his own stuff.
Well, actually, Star Wars.
Okay.
Edited to Aphex Twin, which was very good. And also in a more recent band I've seen, Public Service Broadcasting, where they use samples of old movies in their music.
Yeah, see, I like that.
So the way they perform it live, they actually have a live VJing sound guy. So he drops the video into the visuals, so it is perfectly timed with the live music. So they play everything live with instruments, and the samples are played as video on the screen behind them. So it's
that's
perfectly
cool.
timed, and it works really well.
I need to get in on more of that. I was aware of that band, but I kind of maybe dismissed them because the album I heard was just lots of space audio. And it was all right the second time I listened to it, but I think the first time, I maybe got the wrong end of what they do. But that sounds really good.
Yeah,
we need to do more of that.
Do you think it taps on a slightly bigger sort of issue about people these days?
What, people's attention span?
Well, it's not just attention span, but just the
commercial
need for more, like that kind of. I'm not saying they're different people. I mean, I think we grew up with, where a film was entertaining and was good, but like, because we know like all these things are out there, we really want to see them combined, I think. And it's like,
I think it might. I mean, it's kind of, it's almost natural evolution of entertainment, really. I mean, film to that degree and music have almost been around mainstream at the same time, so they're both getting to the point now where it is a couple of generations have experienced that, and it's just the same. So mashing more of that together or finding a new way to do it, like people's stage shows get bigger and bigger and bigger because people need to be shown something new, and it's like, this is just another step in that direction.
It's sort of evolution. I mean,
I think if you think of something,
you're looking at me weird. Like,
no, it's just if you come up with an idea that novelly combines it.
I had that idea. I've seriously, I really wanted to do, because every time I come up with a film, I try and it generally comes from a piece of music or like a song that either is the backing track to the piece or it just influences it in some way. But I really wanted to do
a rock opera,
kind of kind of, but it was a very sci-fi centric film that was driven on by pop music. So the pop music would be from many different bands and would play for most of the film and tell the story as to what was happening at that
I've
point.
often thought of similar things.
I think a lot of people have. I think it's just very hard to do, and we're in nowhere the position
kind of
to,
like
to do it.
like a musical, but actually using decent music.
Yeah, it's like you kind of go through
Right,
your
not-
favorite music, and you kind of basically try and find a place for it. And I've got relatively far with the tracks I want to do and the story I want to show, and then because of the way it's done, that film works in cinemas, but it also works as the film with those bands playing a concert, basically. So you get both, and I think that's the kind of thing that I want to see people do more of. If we don't get the chance to do it, then yeah, someone doing more things like that, and I think that kind of live music that you're talking about, the VJing is close. I just, from my point of view of trying to tell stories, is slightly more controlled. But yeah, I want to do more of that stuff. Then you get the licensing problem between all these bands, and you realize they're all on major labels, different ones, and they won't play at the same time for a film. That yeah, it'd be very hard to do. You'd have to be very influential to get that done. But I think it's a very cool idea.
But I think that's kind of where I'm headed, is that I think what I was trying to maybe say is, I think it's totally possible to do something like this, although I'm not sure I'm 100% with the concept, but
That's because you haven't heard the story, Tim.
Well, I'm roughly with you in terms of like that you want to mix things in a different way, but I don't think it's going to be or become a new genre or like a new way of doing films. I think like if you manage to successfully pull it off a handful of times, fantastic, and what a nice different experience. But it's not on the same level as like, oh, here's music, now we have films, now we have films with audio.
No, I don't think it's I think it actually cheapens it. Yeah, if you did churn out that one after the other and that was your thing, you basically did sequel after sequel in that way. I don't think that's a good thing. It's just trying to get across that's hopefully the way people are going to start thinking more nowadays when they do start coming up with their ideas. It's not. But
isn't it just trying to come up with a novelty? I mean,
I think it is, but that's how things start. It's like it's a novelty that then turns into something more mainstream, and I think that there's no problem with experimenting because
no, I agree. No problem with experimenting. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it is something that will turn into mainstream. But
no, bits of it might though. It's
opinion.
like it's just by people doing it. Like Secret Cinema, it might be like we talk about VR all the time. We'll probably talk about it a little bit later on. The next step is like that hologram thing when you're in the film, and that's kind of what Secret Cinema's doing. It's like that will just become maybe slightly more accepted, and more places will do it. Like,
yeah, and it'll be an additional thing. I mean, I'm sure the 2D screen film will
be, but then it will become
but
like
it'll be.
But then it will get more. It'll be in more places. More places will be set up to do it. There'll be more companies doing it. Therefore, there will be a reason to create content for it. Therefore, there will be films that are put out like that.
I mean, I was thinking like, isn't there a way to, for example, like, just like employ a couple of actors, get the stewards to dress, and maybe like just do a bit of set design to the cinema. If you're going to have like a massive film release, like. Why can't you go to the effort of just a few things like that? And
exactly.
Charge 20
But
quid ahead.
I guess if you do it badly, and which people will do, it's gonna.
It's. I think that's true. I think it's going the right way because they kind of do that when they do the big premieres. Like they do the whole thing in Leicester Square and they decorate the outside in Leicester Square. I don't even know if they do it in Leicester Square anymore. But that's when they do a big sort of setup, and it's like I think when they did Harry Potter, they recreated that big. I don't know Harry Potter that well. It's one of the big sets from that film, and they recreated that in Leicester Square, and it's like that's cool, but that's for a one-off thing, loads of celebrities, and that's kind of not the point. You're right, doing that for mainstream, you can get it wrong, and there's the worry that people aren't going to pay that price, but it will start now, and it will gradually sort of creep in as a way to.
I'm just surprised there aren't things already. Like for example, you
I think people are doing it
like
privately.
The new Star Wars, like why wouldn't you have it so that everybody gets given a little like Star Wars, like I don't know what, like a cap or like some merc, like some really cheap merc, right? And
like the mugs you get?
I don't know.
The big cups you get, like Jurassic World.
Well,
I guess
I don't know about this, but you presumably pay it separately rather than it being included in the price of the ticket.
Yeah, when you buy your drink, you upgrade and you get a little plastic dinosaur on top of your drink.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, that's
But
happened for a long time.
anyway,
But
it's
that's,
that kind of thing. But
yeah.
I'm talking more about trying to get people into the atmosphere
yeah.
of like.
I think it's happening more privately. Like I think people have their own screenings and they do their own thing, and people do dress up and they do like have Star Wars theme nights and they'll watch the films. I think when I saw Episode 3, it was like a midnight screening, so one of the first ones, and the cinema had decided that before the film they would get two guys dressed up like Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and they would make them fight at the front of the cinema, which is kind of funny. Because it's just, but the thing is, that's great because that's just two guys going, yeah, we could do this because the cinema is allowing us to do it, and it's kind of funny, and it will maybe everyone in there is probably a massive Star Wars fan because they're there at midnight watching a film that isn't very good as it happens. So they're obviously kind of like fans. They will understand what we're trying to do. So I think it's happening more privately. It's just trying to get that more public. I think everyone's got the ideas and just not the means to do it. This guy who's doing Secret Cinema is doing it literally because he can and he has the means to do it. This is the way he wants to experience films, and there will be more and more people coming up like that will just start doing it here and there, and it will get more public.
I mean, you say he has the means, but I'm pretty sure that was a very, very hard fought battle, right?
I'm sure it was, but he's just someone in the right position at the right time, and he can get that done. That's when great things happen, is when you get someone who has the means or access to the means, who just happens to have a very good idea or is very passionate about what they want to do. Instead of doing it for slightly more commercial gain, he is doing it because that's how he feels. I don't think Secret Cinema was making any money until they did Back to the Future, and then they lost a ton of money and then charged the people going to see Star Wars more money because he had to break even, because it was becoming a much bigger, way more people were having to take care of. But that's going to balance out now because he's made two mistakes, one big mistake, and then Star Wars was maybe too high. But it'll balance out with the next one, and it'll get better and better and better. And it's people like that just need to be
Well,
what
I
amazes
think-
me
to
is
do
that
more.
he can just like suddenly find in the middle of London these amazing massive spaces for like
yeah.
3
I think
months.
they
But it's the same.
exist. They
It's the
exist
same way
in
you do a
yeah.
film. It's the same way you shoot a film. It's like if you don't go to Pinewood or whatever to these one of these big studios to go and shoot stuff, you go and find an empty warehouse and build your set within it, and that's all they do. And it is basically building a Star Wars set that you get to walk around, and that's how it's
Cool.
done. There are people like whose job it is to find places like that, and they just employ them
Sure.
because they made money off Back to the Future, maybe just, and then put a massive investment in Star Wars, and that's good because it was risky. I think it's
Sure.
very risky because I was very skeptical having gone through the Back to the Future cancellation thing, and then realizing I was going to be charged like basically 80 quid to do the Star Wars thing. And the reason you didn't go to Star Wars is I think you'd had the experience already and wasn't willing to put up that amount of money, and that's probably a lot of people.
Also, something slightly put me off just in terms of the number of people. I'm really glad they scaled up the number of actors, but the sheer number of people in a day, it just made me feel a bit tired. I was just like, I just because even at Back to the Future, right, there were a lot of people. It's like food, queuing for food,
Yeah.
getting in, and,
Yeah.
it's just like everything was a bit.
Star Wars felt okay.
Yeah, they did. They
If
they
they've managed
got
that,
the numbers
Yeah.
I think
really
that's
well.
like some kind of miracle.
I
you
thought-
can't credit them enough for doing
Given the amount of days they were doing, because I thought they were doing way too many days, and that's why it was going to maybe be substandard. But I think they did invest in the right places. They did the right location, the right sets. They did contain it for all its misgivings of the sort of second half. I didn't like. They did contain it. They did get it done.
You felt you get your
And-
money's worth as
Yeah,
well, because
you did.
they really
Yeah, they put all the money in the right places, and yeah, it just sort of worked out really well. For some reason, I think the way they spread out the missions meant no one location got too crowded.
crowded.
Because basically, we were like, I think the first group to go through to the Death Star, because we just gone. Because I think we went on the mission. We were like, right, we've been told, because we've read some reviews, that we need to get involved. So it was just try and get involved and get this thing done. So it was like, okay, as soon as someone started talking to us, it's like, right, you got to go see this person. So okay, we do that right now, and then go see this person, do this right now, and wait outside this house for what felt like quite a while, waiting for it to open up so we could do the next bit.
Yeah, that side of it just sounds a lot more sorted. And I'm not saying we couldn't have been more involved at Back to the Future, but I'm pretty sure
It sounded
these
like there was no
paths-
game. Back to the Future.
I think these paths weren't set up. I think you could go and you could you could encounter somebody and you could have a little 2 minutes with them, but that wouldn't be correlated to what you did next.
No.
Yeah, this
this sounds really good. I really like this idea.
yeah.
Because we walked into one of the rooms, and it was another room where you could give them more of the things you brought to trade for drugs, and that was full. So we walked straight out of there and was a bit like, okay, cool, this is going to be a queuing up job. And then went to the bar and someone spoke to us, and then you were in. and you're done. And it was good that happened. I'm sure for as many great experiences, there are maybe some that aren't as good because
I think
either
getting
they-
there early when it wasn't too busy when we arrived. So
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, saying that, we were probably near the front, but yeah, I'm sure there are still people who don't experience it in a great way, either not for their own like failings of getting involved, but just because they weren't in the right place at the right time, and that sucks. But that's kind of it's a risk, I think, with those
Shall we
kinds of
move
things. All right, all right. What are we on? All right.
Is that not an hour of talking about?
We
Back
don't
to
have
the
to
that is
Future?
cover all the
55 minutes. We
subjects.
were
It
never.
gives us-
Yeah, we're not gonna. We don't have to cover this because
gives
you
us
were
more
trying
to
to.
talk about
You were
next
trying to.
week.
You were trying to jump 2 points, Tim. If you're gonna stick to the list, you were trying to jump 2
I
points.
wasn't trying to stick to this. In fact, I thought last
We
time you
could-
said we don't need to.
No, it's really funny because you were talking about Terminator Genesis because they've put an interactive game
Oh, yeah.
before. I think it's not many screenings. It's like a couple of IMAX screenings in America.
Oh, right. I thought it was all.
No. But this is the kind of thing. It's like that's another because they've tried to do that in certain cinemas before. Like I think they've had sensors where like one side of the cinema raise their
Sure,
hands.
they've done cameras basically.
Yeah, and another side of the cinema raise your hands, and that affects on who wins this game. But it's another cool thing. Whether there's, I think you win something, you win posters. Who
Yeah.
doesn't like a poster? You get stuff like that. But it's nice having that game. It's another thing that gets you involved when you go there. It's kind of like, oh, cool. This involves everyone in the audience, or can involve everyone in the audience, and that's a nice thing rather than just because trailers are nice, but not everyone likes trailers. But getting people involved in other ways is a neat idea, and they've done that or are starting to do that, and I think more franchises will start to do that. The funny thing is, I had to write down Terminator Genesis, and I have really fucked up how they are writing Genesis because I don't know how they're writing that. It's weird.
What they write?
They write Genesis in a funny way because it's cool to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think I wrote
don't
it down
think I
right.
even realised they're making another one. I thought they had no reason to.
Do we know? Haven't they
don't-
combined all 3, 4,
5.
5 into one?
This is 5, isn't it?
Yeah, but they've
Uh,
taken all the stories and they sort of mashed them together.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
there's probably even more.
I don't know. I've
wait
seen
a
the
minute,
trailer and I
this is
still
the
don't
one-
know what the fuck the story's about.
This is the one that I've seen all the CG of Arnie, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he goes back and beats himself up from Terminator
Yeah,
1.
there's
It's-
probably more. What is it when you go back in time and it paradoxes? I think there was paradoxes in the previous ones, and now there's
Yeah.
an infinite number of paradoxes.
Yeah, it's getting
Well,
beyond a joke.
films and time travel. It's not.
We should go and see it because I think it will be fucking hilarious.
I still have
If
to
it's
see
really
Jurassic
cheap.
Park.
Yeah, well, it's as cheap as the cinema's going to be, or we could just steal it. But I think it'd be funny as fuck.
So am I right in thinking there's some kind of 2 for Tuesdays thing now or something? instead
Yeah.
of the-
You sign up. It's not half price though, like it was
Third off.
with Orange Wednesdays. It's a third off, and it's not so great. They do the Meerkat thing as well, but that's you only get that for a year. So you have to buy a product from Compare the Meerkat,
Why would I do that?
Compare the Market, and well, you might do. It's just it's not good. But that was a very good deal. I think the cinema suddenly realised everyone's getting a really good deal, and we must stop that now. So they stopped it.
I thought it was Orange that stopped it.
Might have been.
I think it
Where
was.
are Orange now?
I think they were
The cinemas,
subsidising it.
they probably, yeah.
Where are Orange now? They did good commercials. I like their commercials for Orange Wednesdays. I wish
They're EE
I wish
now.
they would come back. Yeah, the Kevin Bacon's ones are pretty good. That's okay. Yeah, that's a good trade.
Everyone likes Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're kind of getting near the end. How do you guys feel about? Because I guess you've seen the list. Netflix has a pay-as-you-go card.
I have no idea what that's
I
about.
don't know about.
Well,
this
what do you
either.
think? What are your thoughts on what that says to you by hearing Netflix and pay-as-you-go?
That sounds expensive.
It sounds expensive.
Correct. It is expensive. It's one of those things where you top up your phone and you don't have enough to make a call, so you have to put another 10 quid on, and that's how that will work.
Yeah.
You have
That sounds
to.
like a
you
bad
wanna
idea.
Watch, yeah. It's.
Is this trying to make more money from people basically binge watching series?
It's a bit of that. It's also a little bit about oh crap, I don't know what to get someone for their birthday, and instead of buying them iTunes vouchers, you get them Netflix vouchers and go, here, go and enjoy your favorite TV show. Maybe some of it, not all of it. It's that. I'm not sure that's a good idea, but it's one of those things. Everyone's trying new stuff at the moment, and that's just something that will come
Well,
out.
I mean,
and
they can't really lose
No.
from it. I
no,
mean,
they can't. It'll either people will buy it for some god known reason, or they won't, and
People
it'll go
will
away.
buy it.
Sorry.
People will buy it.
Some will. I don't think that will take off.
I mean, if you buy an iTunes voucher, I think you might well buy Netflix.
iTunes vouchers, no, it's very different because iTunes vouchers are kind of something that you're going to pay for anyway. You can now subscribe, but before,
but it
you were
used to
already-
be that everybody had an iPod and or
yeah.
maybe had an iPhone. But
Yeah.
now I think people are like, oh gosh, they have an Android. I don't really know. And then it's like, oh, do I want to? So I don't know. I think they could get quite a lot of that.
I don't.
I think they'll make money. I don't think for the right reasons.
It feels like everything's too, because you have to pay like a monthly subscription to all these different companies. So if you want to watch one thing, you have to subscribe to that particular service, and then if you want to watch another thing, you have to subscribe to that service.
Yes.
And the costs go skyrocket.
Yeah, everyone complained when they were paying for like Sky or cable prices, but you go away from that and start going into Amazon or
Yeah.
Netflix, and you're paying more already.
I mean, I
just
hope the actual companies that produce these things, like HBO, and they've set up a thing in America where you can actually purchase, or they originally did. I'm not entirely sure if they've stopped doing it now because they were getting into conflict with Sky. But these companies that make the programs, I think they should sell directly to the punters.
Well, they kind of do. You get HBO Go. You get all these like big.
But again,
networks
it's a
have
subscription.
got-
You
no,
can't
totally.
buy. If I
exactly.
just wanted to watch Game of
Yeah.
Thrones,
But that's why you won't get
But-
your
or-
universal place to buy stuff. Is like there's too much money to be made by them doing it
Yeah.
themselves and putting their own content out on their.
but
own
then they
thing.
lose out to piracy.
Yes, but that's going to happen anyway. I think this is.
I
Like,
think if they made it a easy access and a reasonable cost as well, because they charge a ridiculous amount just to watch like an episode. It's actually cheaper to buy the DVD if you can
Yeah.
wait. So
but no
but
one can
if-
wait.
no,
No
exactly.
one can wait.
So people just go and pirate it instead. So they're losing out on all that revenue. Whereas if they made a good quality download at a reasonable price, I think people would download it, watch it, and the fans would still buy a DVD
they
or a
would-
Blu-ray
They
or
would.
better
They would.
quality.
They wouldn't buy those anymore. They totally wouldn't. But there's that will never happen because there's too much money to be had from distributing your own. works.
Regardless of,
Well,
Yeah, of course.
piracy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, that
There's
doesn't
always
matter.
a people
Because it
skimming.
will. Yeah. There's always people who are going to do it legally. Like piracy is always going to be there. There's no way to combat that other than doing little bit by little bit. And this is just the next stage where everything you access nowadays is subscription only, and that will last for quite a while because everyone can do it themselves.
Well, I think there's several things. I think one is that
We're going to run out of time,
To-
Tim, if you've got several things.
to your first point, like you were saying that the subscription thing, you buy this subscription here and you buy this subscription here. If you bought every individual thing from every like original producer, could you imagine? Like, and it won't be cheap. So I think like some kind of aggregator is really like required,
Yeah, someone will
And-
make that, and then it will get canned
and
instantly.
there inevitably will be multiple of them because there's a lot of money to be made, and different deals will be struck, and different countries. So
But you're
I
never
don't think
gonna.
I don't think that will change.
You're never gonna get your. I want a bit of Netflix. I want a bit of Amazon, but I don't want to pay the full price because I only want certain bits. You're never gonna get that.
No, all you're going to get is like Google offering the best terms, right? For example, and then everybody going, "Oh, okay, I'll put my stuff up on Google," right? That's the only kind of thing that would happen. Is if one big player actually just gave like incredibly good terms.
like Spotify.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, Spotify I think is still maybe
In
slightly
the
on
video.
dodgy ground, but yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm worried about Spotify.
mm.
I like Spotify a lot because I'm obviously invested in it now. But Apple have got their thing, and it's Apple, so people are going to use it. And I feel like I'm going to be switching my Spotify subscription to Apple in the next year or two, just because that's the way it will go, and that sucks.
What do you think that Spotify?
Apple will just strong arm them. It will. Everyone will go to Apple. They
let's
just
see.
will. Yeah, no, let's see. Yeah, no, totally. I would be love to be proved wrong, but it just too much stuff has gone Apple's way for it to stop now. I think that's what's going to happen. I like Spotify. All right. Anything else? And don't say
think-
no just because you want to eat. We can talk about the hoverboard. Lexus made a hoverboard that was a
Yeah.
bit shit.
Well, I've seen.
Have
I've
you seen real footage of it?
Yeah, it's shit.
Why?
No, they
because-
haven't shown the actual. It actually.
That's
working.
all right. I'm pretty sure I saw a film of Tony Hawk using one.
No, that was a different
that's
one.
another
That
Oh, is
was
that a different one?
Yeah, yeah.
Similar,
Okay.
similar
From ages ago.
Because
concept.
I feel like the same problem's going to exist in that there's no
Yes.
friction.
And
There's many problems.
I
There's
mean,
lots of
regardless of the fact that
I think it's just a gimmick that they're
Yeah.
doing.
oh no, of course it is, but I think fundamentally the friction thing is a real problem.
Well,
because-
you can't control it.
No, exactly. So it doesn't
that's-
matter that you have to make your own surface. That's fine. You can make a whole skate park out of this metal thing for your metal like hoverboard to go on. But if there's no friction, there is no way in hell you're doing that
No,
anyway.
you're just going straight.
Well,
You're just getting faster and faster and faster.
That's not totally true, right? You can obviously have like feet controls on the board that control which way
Mm.
the magnets are basically pointing, right? You can have individual ones, right? So you can control it on that level.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not going to be as intuitive
Mhm.
as physically fixed to the ground, but you could probably control it and
You
work
need-
out a way of doing it.
You
Mm.
need Biff style jets.
Jets.
Yeah,
That's the only way I could see.
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
Well, no, I suppose it's another one of
but
those
yeah,
things that the
power
the-
and
the-
like metal
like,
skateboard ramps.
in the same way I don't particularly like touch on like an iPad or whatever. It's not totally intuitive and you can't play games that way. But new people, kids will grow up.
That's a good.
kids will
From
grow
now
up.
on, we shall call them.
Yeah. Congratulations, you have a new person. Is it a boy or girl? You should just be happy that it's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll grow up knowing exactly how to use it, and then the same thing will happen happens in Back to the Future 2, that the kids will go, you have to use your hands, and a game will be entirely dated by the fact that it has physical controls. So yeah, maybe kids will grow up and they'll know how to use this frictionless pad that slides along the floor. Anyway, we'll do a Back to the Future episode in October 15th, 25th. It's one of them.
It's got a 5 in it.
And we'll talk about all the things that they got
Haven't
right.
Come to pass. Or?
Yeah, no, there's loads. Loads of them have worked out, and there's some that haven't, but mostly it's accurate, which is kind of cool. Everyone
Cool.
thought that wasn't going to happen, but it did.
People can wait with bated breath for October.
Yeah, assuming I upload this by October. We got through the whole list mostly.
No. Yeah.
VR and AR in space, that didn't happen, but that's
We can
that bored
cover
that bored me while I was writing it. So never mind. Cool. All right. Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you very much, Andy, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Wait.
Bye.
Bye, camera. Cool. Thank you. Hot.
Yes.
Very hot.
That flew by that time.
Sorry?
That flew by.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about Star Wars. We probably should have capped that earlier, but that was neat. Neat.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds like it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. As I said, I think the whole more linear kind of.
Yeah, people need
would you put
structure
them on
and
par in
things to
different
do.
ways, or would you like definitely say you preferred one? Or?
I enjoyed them. I enjoyed all the little scene playouts that was in Back to the Future. I think I would just say they were different in that sense. But no, I thought it was I enjoyed as we were saying that the more you put in, the more you get out. Whereas I think with the Back to the Future one, it was a bit more passive. You just kind of wander around and stuff.
It's
I mean, I
very
don't know.
hard to
Maybe
know
we
where to
missed
put the
out.
effort in as well.
Sorry.
It's very hard to know where to put the effort in.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I mean, like when we wandered into the little suburby bit, and there was that whole thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, and kind of almost was hoping to sort of see that kind of thing at the Star Wars one, but it was such a small. There was a lot sort of more
Self-contained bits.
self-contained, so that sort of thing would be harder to do because you probably only had like 3 people actually witness it, whereas the one-to-one interaction and the way they geared the costumes that takes kind of
Sure.
part of the how you interact,
Sure.
and it gives the actors cues and stuff. I thought that was a clever idea because the guy who came up to me right at the beginning, like I gave the information to his sister, but he was there. He'd already.
He just took his cloak
time-
off and we didn't recognize him.
Yeah, so he'd kind of hooked up, but I guess that was all part of the storyline that the explorers kind of were involved in.
Yeah,
so
I
he
like-
obviously saw I was explorer from that point and knew that.
Yeah.
If I followed the.
It's
I mean,
like as
I
long
think-
as he talks to enough people, someone will do that. And I liked the fact that because I think we went to that building right at the start because we were looking around and going, oh, what's in here, what's in here, what's in here. And that building that we went into with those characters wasn't open. And I think that only becomes open when someone triggers that storyline. And that's very cool that someone's doing that to then open it up for everyone else.
Yeah.
So they get a cool thing and we get to feel like we've been involved in something like through
I was,
Andy.
I was like keeping an eye out.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't even sure that, like, it was a weird thing. I was like, she just has something on her neck.
Yeah.
Like, just go talk to her. But it's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, you want what you can't have. It's like, it's nice that there's stuff that happens that you maybe don't get to do, but you know it's there. It makes you want to go to the next one and go, oh, I hope I'm the trigger point or I get to be involved more. It's like it makes you
finding
want to do.
Easter eggs in a game.
Yeah.
Thing, you sort of,
Yeah, it's like I was first kind of thing.
yeah.
They had mouse droids on the Death Star.
Mouse droids.
Yeah, it's like when driving around, and it's like because the guy knows you're looking at it, like they just make it drive around you. I was quite worried when there was like an Imperial officer came up to me and was like, "What are you doing? Are you on duty?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, yes."
Yeah, I didn't know.
And I was like, I can't
It was
really.
on the owl
Yeah,
thing.
fuck off. Yeah, and I was kind of like, because we were in that bit when we didn't really know what we were doing, and I was probably a bit annoyed. It's like, just don't bother me now.
Yeah,
Tell me what to do.
yeah.
I don't want to go to prison again. Done that.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it
'cause
was
I was like-
unclear whether to break out or not.
No, because it was fun. Yeah, no, that was kind of cool because I think again that was triggered by one group getting it right or someone just getting it right,
Well,
and then
our-
it was
our
up
group all
to
just basically piled out.
Yeah.
I was one of the ones that. Are we supposed to do this?
yeah, no, but that because when we were walking past all the other cells,
Mm.
they were still locked in, and it was up to us to let them out.
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah.
So they
'Cause-
left yours unlocked.
Oh,
or-
were the others locked?
Yeah, because I think someone
right.
let us out of ours.
Yeah, because
Because I think it was literally, I think they make sure the first one goes.
Yeah.
Because then it has that domino effect.
Yeah, ours was.
And then it's up to because that's why I went back because like I was like, oh, no one's letting those guys out.
Yeah.
And then me and like one other person went to do it, and they did it. So I just kind of went caught
right.
back up with you guys. But it's
Yeah,
nice that
yeah,
is
yeah.
a thing. Like you could get a group of people that are stuck, and then I'm sure someone comes and lets them out. But
Yeah. Well, I think they
It's
did
neat.
that again because I saw another group coming.
well, they do. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why they limit it. It's like you get do
Yeah.
your spice mission first, and then you go up in the ship. And if you don't do any of that, you don't get to do that portion.
No.
Like you end up going to the Death Star because they have to open that up to get you to the bit with the finale and then watch the film. But I think if you arrive
Yeah,
late, or if
don't
you
do the
if you don't
interaction
if you don't do the
bits,
interaction,
you miss out on that whole.
I think you might miss out on that. Like I mean, all you miss out on is like getting put in prison and then the transport, which is kind of cool. You just get attacked and
But I think
more
also
noise and lights. But
getting introduced to the Death Star in that way was really cool.
no, it
Like I
was.
saying
That's
with
why
the-
it was
with-
shit.
With Darth Vader
Having to
coming.
go back.
Yeah.
That's why they should not let you do that.
No, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't quite because they stopped letting people at some point.
Yeah, but when
So
we
I
went
don't
back
know why
down,
we-
because we went back down, and we're like, okay, we'll just get some food, and then we'll, I guess, go back again and have to go through that. I don't want to go through that ship thing again because it's like, well, I've done it already. And then some guy was trying to shepherd us out, and we were like, no, we've done that bit. And he was like, fine, just stay here and die then.
When we did go through,
But then we went
didn't
through.
do that
No.
whole-
That's the thing. I think they were just trying. They were because
Yeah.
they were winding down. Like none of the food stalls had anything left, even though I'm sure they did. But they were like closing down. We need to get some food. But yeah, it was quite. His reaction was funny though, because he stayed in character, even though he was supposed to be getting you out there. We were just like, no, we're done. We're fine. We've done that. And he was like, right, fuck you then. You stay here. See what happens.
We're good.
I think that's the thing, right? Is like actually, actors are much better than I give them credit for.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure if you really wanted to play up, you could phase
I-
them,
I
but maybe
saw-
not. It's just like having the
Yeah.
guts to go and do that and not get put in prison.
But
'cause that's all they
also
can do.
not
Right.
being afraid to be just like actually a customer. Just be like, what should I do now, right? And being really shit yourself.
Yeah.
I think they would absolutely turn it around and make it like, I'm going to talk to
Oh,
you
yeah,
later.
no.
in
Yeah.
character
Yeah.
and
They would get you to
They
that
pick
next
Pick you
bit.
back up.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like, oh, I'm not good enough actor to like have this conversation.
Yeah, but even, like right from the beginning, because you're not actually told exactly where to go, so you're just sort of mingling around in this square, and then this person comes up to me and says, "Are you on the such and such transporter?" And I was like, "Are we? I don't know, guy." and then they tell you where to go to get on the transporter. So that even like from there, And yeah, because I read the headline of a review that sort of was amateur dramatics.
Yeah.
Has never cost
I thought
so
that was
much.
unfair.
Yeah, it was very much.
Because it's like, I mean,
Really?
it's shit because it's Star Wars. It's like they're doing fantasy crap, which
Yeah,
just
yeah.
comes across as weird when you're starting telling people to do these things with
Yeah.
your hands, sit cross-legged or whatever. It's just like, that's just,
And
it's just that.
yeah, no, I thought that was
Boba Fett showed up.
Good.
Yeah, it was cool. That's the thing. That's why I like the fact that it was kind of out of the main storyline. Is the fact that, yes, Boba Fett is there because he's in that deleted scene. Seen the delete?
Is he
How much?
in
I don't
the
know how
first one?
much do you know Star Wars?
I've seen Star Wars, but I
no.
don't remember.
Okay,
him.
so there's a deleted scene from A New Hope, which is like the only deleted scene because everything else made it into the film, where you see Han talking to Jabba,
Oh yeah, I hate that.
and they CG'd it again for the special
Yeah,
edition.
that-
But Boba Fett's there,
Ah,
and it's neat.
yeah.
And having him walking around Tatooine, and then because he came in, we were doing our Jedi thing, and as I said, they did the Jedi mind trick of Boba Fett because he came in to sort of say what's going on here, like doing what bounty hunter would do, is like investigate, see if he can make money, and they just Jedi mind tricked him and he walked out. But like Boba Fett's walking around talking through a thing, and he's totally in Boba Fett character, so
Yeah.
you just don't want to talk to him, but you see other people interacting with him, and he's just like, get out of the way. It's like, that's so fucking cool. I'm really glad that that's not part of like I'm not seeing Luke or anyone interact with him, because that like totally blows everything up and the timeline goes ugh.
I mean, I think given the task, they've probably done exceptionally well.
Yeah,
By the
I
sounds
think I was very skeptical given the money and what happened last time and their need to make amends and still do good, and yeah, I think they did about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, I'm glad. I'm very glad.
Should we go downstairs?
Yeah.
You did at the start.
When? Yeah, but we
Save
haven't
that for a
started-
Doctor Who episode.
Yeah.
Let's hope one of these is still recording. Hooray! It's always a good sign.